thank you. That's so nice of you. You're so sweet to have me on.
Anytime. You know what? You name the day and the
We'll
time.
bring you on anytime you want, Mrs. Perry.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So tell us about, now, before we get into this conference that you're hosting, I really want to know, I think as a mom and as someone who is very interested in what happens in this state, how is it now to be back just in Texas and not to be campaigning on the trail all around the country?
Well, I love Texas, my home state. It's great to be home, but I also enjoyed every moment on the campaign trail from Iowa to New Hampshire to South Carolina to Florida to California to Mississippi and all the states that we visited. People are wonderful. We're Americans, and we love our country. So for me, it was a thrill to share a little bit of what Rick has done in Texas on that national scene.
You know, Mrs. Perry, we saw publicly the things that I know were not the highlights necessarily of the campaign. What we didn't see was maybe, and again, make this funny if you want to, but tell us some of the worst things about campaigning. I saw the debates and the gas. I'm not talking about that necessarily, but I'm talking about some of the worst things. I mean, when do you sleep? How do you sleep? Give me some of the inside scoop, and the funnier the better.
Oh, well, it was a different hotel every night. And my husband, being the fiscal conservative that he is, we were watching every dollar as much, as we could. We weren't doing hands-on, but we didn't stay in one of the five-star hotels. We stayed in some nice hotels, but they tended to have express on the end. and everyone was so lovely and so kind. And really, I got very used very used to a sleep number bed. So it was great, and we loved that. But the hardest part for me was really watching the diet.
Yeah.
And towards the, and I've told this, and I'm going to tell it on the air, but 2 king-size Butterfingers a day for the past 2 weeks of the campaign did not do a lot for the figure.
Well, no. That's why you're working out extra today.
That's why I'm trying to put in some extra time.
Well, you know what? And I'm sure that in no time you'll have yourself back in shape again.
Oh.
Hey, tell me this. When you came back to Texas and Rick was reevaluating what he was going to do, whether or not he was going to go forward, and then we got the tweet that that the campaign was going to move forward. What was actually going on there? I'm very interested. What conversation took place between the two of y'all?
Oh, there were. I didn't. After that night in Iowa, I didn't sleep well, and I saw the disappointment of the supporters on our face, and I think the message was conveyed that maybe we were coming home for good, and that was not our message at all. But that was the message that I think he and I saw on those faces. And so he and I had, a sleepless night, and the next morning I was pretty emotional about it. And I said, and I'd had a call from friends in South Carolina, and they said, we have worked so hard for you. And they said, we want to be given a chance. And so, he and I had that conversation, and he left me, and I had a cup of coffee, and he went out to run. And then he called me. I was sitting there having a cup of coffee, and he called, and he said, are you ready to go to South Carolina? And I said, yes, I am. Mm-hmm. So that was it, I think. We had some great friends and campaign staff and workers and volunteers, and they wanted a chance, and we wanted a chance, and we really deserve. I mean, the South Carolinians deserve that chance, and so we weren't ready to come home at that point. We were really going to come home and talk about it, but the message in my mind that we got out was not the message really that we wanted to convey.
So, Mrs. Perry, now that you look at the 4 remaining candidates and from the sidelines watching what's going on with them, how do you feel for those families that are still in it and in the thick of it day in and day out?
Well, I got very close to the spouses on the campaign trail, and there was only one that I never met. The other ones, we had a good relationship with, and I'm very close to Mary Kay Huntsman. I think that's well known. And I saw Mary Kay Saturday night in D.C., and I speak occasionally to some of the other spouses. I feel for them. This is I was exhausted. I had no idea. You're running on adrenaline 24 hours a day, and the next day you have to make sure your hair is done and your your clothes are pressed and you have the appropriate attire on for your events. And remember, what you put on in the morning at 7 o'clock may be the same thing you have to wear that night at 7 to 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy.
So, I feel for them and their families. And I think as spouses, you do tend to internalize the pressure and the mean comments that are said about the candidates. So I really feel for them. I look at them and I go, gosh, I don't know how they're still going on. It's been a long process.
And the kids got along very well. Griffin got along well with the Huntsman girls.
Yes.
I mean, the families just seem to get on very well with each other, which was nice for us to see. That was an interesting aspect of campaigning we maybe have never seen before.
Oh, yes. Griffin and the Huntsman girls, 2012, were very good at tweeting. And so we laugh about that. Griffin actually, the first time I saw a comment about Senator Santorum's sweater vest was from a tweet from Griffin. So that was funny. And also the Santorums. Now, remember, at one time, Rick was by Rick Santorum many times during the debate. So as you were looking at the stage, however they are presented on the stage, that is the way you sit in the audience. So many times we were by the Santorum children, and sometimes Karen Santorum wouldn't be there, and I would be sitting amongst 3 Santorums and 2 Perrys or something. So, and then there were times she was there. So, we're all human. At the end of the day, we're all humans, and we all love our families.
Mrs. Perry, any talk of a vice presidential nod for your husband?
No, he is focused on Texas. In fact, he is here right now on the phone, on a different phone, probably talking about economic development and trying to lure some more businesses to Texas from California or from his good friend Governor Rick Scott in Florida.
And Rick Scott's got his hands full these days with the situation that's going on down there in Sanford, Florida, and can certainly use our prayers, that's for sure.
Yes.
Assure me of one thing, being relatively new to the state of Texas, would you please assure me, I have moved family, fortune to the Lone Star State. Tell me that Rick is running again, please.
Yes, he is running again.
For the governorship.
Yes, he is running.
Now, because I talked to him about a month ago, and he wouldn't give me a straight-up answer, so I have to ask you, because I know you're the boss.
Oh, well, shoot, we all like to think we're the boss. But, no, I think he's here. He's focused. Like I said, he's probably upstairs right now trying to bring more businesses to Texas. And, I'm looking at a brief that I have on the counter for a legislative issue. I don't get involved in policy, but I like to know what's going on. And if he's not running, then I'm going to be surprised.
So the whole purpose that we were going to talk with you, which we decided to put to the end because we love talking to you about everything else as well, the 13th Annual Texas Conference for Women. Tell us about that and what's the focus this year?
Well, as you know, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about this, the conference is returning to Austin. And we were 4 great years in Houston, and the people of Houston were fabulous and the surrounding communities. But when we moved, we got many questions like, why are you moving to Houston? And when are you coming back to Austin? We had in the back of our minds we would always come back. So we are moving the conference back to Austin, and we're very excited about that. We're going to be talking about women again, and we're putting together some exciting workshops for this year's conference. We have the professional and personal developmental topics that we talk about with the great speakers. But this year, we're going to talk a lot about careers and focusing on the careers. In fact, we're going to have a new aspect called a career pavilion, and it's going to have people, human resource experts that are there to look over a resume and actually put a mentor match with that person. One thing that I found on the campaign trail, the national campaign trail, is that we have so many people out of jobs, so many people that are homeless, particularly our veterans. Yes. I don't know how many veterans will come to the conference this year, but 1 out of every 4 veterans is jobless,
Yes.
and 1 out of every 6 veterans is homeless. So I'm sure that will be a huge part of our conference.
And that is heartbreaking. Mrs. Perry, very serious. I have one serious question and one maybe not so serious question. My serious question is, there has been the suggestion by the left that there is a war on women and that it is the Republicans that began the war on women, and in particular maybe Rick Santorum with his suggestion and discussions of birth control, and then on, of course, to Sandra Fluke and Rush Limbaugh. Do you feel and do you think that women feel that there is a war on women?
You know, I'm not sure about that. I think we're in a campaign season. I think we're in a heated campaign season. I think we're really trying to filter through and find that candidate on the Republican side. And they all are similar in their issues and stances on their issues and their topics, but there are differences. I don't feel like there's a war on women. I think that women are very powerful, and as a group we have a voice. And I think it's just one of those years, and like I say, I think it's this campaign season. I think when we get the nominee on the Republican side, so much of this is going to go away.
I certainly hope so. And my question, and it's, half serious, would there ever be a time that you could set up a conference? And I know the Texas Conference for Women is very important for women, but I think there should be a day or an hour or two set aside where maybe you could explain to us, because we don't understand women. We try so hard. Maybe there could be some kind of program for guys like me that just struggle. I love my wife, God bless her, but I just sometimes don't understand.
Well, you've made that first step towards recovery in admitting that you don't understand.
Amen.
Yes.
And I'm very proud of you for doing that. But that's a wonderful idea, and you know what? I may give that some thought.
All right. And if there's anything that I can do here in Houston, please let us know.
Well, thank you.
It is a joy to talk with you. We love talking with you. And please, anytime that you're in the neighborhood, please stop by, and we look forward to it. Would you please give our best to Rick and the entire family, and God bless you all.
Thank you so very much. It's wonderful talking to you.